if you're a woman over 30 and your belly fat feels more stubborn than it used to, even when you're eating well, even when you're moving your body, today you will understand why. We have 3 hormones that control whether our body has permission to burn fat or not: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And no, this isn't about menopause. This is about how your body works right now. Most women are told that belly fat is about calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more, and eventually your body will release the weight. And if it doesn't, the assumption is that you're not trying hard enough, that you're eating more than you think, or skipping too many workouts, or lacking discipline. But the truth is, your body doesn't respond to willpower. It responds to signals, hormonal signals. And after 30, those signals start to shift in ways that make your body hold on to belly fat, not because you're doing something wrong, but because the internal communication system between your brain, your ovaries, and your fat cells is changing. Your body isn't broken. It's just operating on a different set of instructions than it used to. I'm Jessica, and for over 15 years, I've been helping women transform their lives through health. We're going to walk through exactly how estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone influence where your body stores fat when it releases fat, and why the strategies that worked in your 20s might actually be working against you now. Because when you understand how your body actually works, you stop fighting it and start working with it. Let's begin. Your body doesn't decide to burn fat based on how hard you're trying or how many calories you've cut. It decides based on something called hormonal permission. Think of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone as a 3-part security clearance system. If all 3 are in range and communicating well, your body gets the signal that it's safe to release stored energy, including belly fat. But if even one of those signals is off, the system defaults to protection mode. And protection mode means storage. Here's what most women don't realize. Your body doesn't see belly fat as a cosmetic problem. It sees it as a resource, a reserve. And it will only release that reserve when it feels biochemically safe to do so. That safety isn't determined by your intentions or your meal plan. It's determined by the balance or imbalance of your sex hormones. Understanding this matters because it changes the entire conversation. You're not failing at fat loss. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do when the hormone signals shift: protect you. The problem is that the threat your body is responding to isn't real, it's biochemical. And once you know what those signals are and how they work, you can start supporting them instead of unknowingly working against them. But here's the part most women never hear. The most powerful signal in this system isn't the one you think it is. It's not estrogen, it's progesterone. And when progesterone drops, everything changes. And after going through all the 3 hormones, at the end of the video, I'll tell you about practical changes you can make and see everything change. Progesterone is often called the calming hormone, and for good reason. It opposes cortisol, your stress hormone, and sends a signal to your body that everything is okay, that you're safe, that there's no threat. When progesterone is in healthy range, your nervous system can relax, your sleep improves, your mood stabilizes, and your body feels biochemically safe enough to release stored fat. But when progesterone drops, which starts happening for many women in their early 30s and accelerates during perimenopause, the body loses that calming signal. And without it, even if your external life is calm, your body interprets the internal environment as stressful. It's like having a smoke alarm that goes off even when there's no fire. The alarm is real. The danger is not. But your body doesn't know that. So it holds onto belly fat as a survival response. This is why so many women in their 30s and 40s describe feeling wired, anxious, or on edge for no clear reason. They're sleeping less deeply. They're more irritable. They feel like their body is in a constant state of low-level stress, even when life is manageable. And at the same time, belly fat is accumulating in a way it never did before. What's happening is that low progesterone is amplifying cortisol's effects. Every stressor, whether it's a tough day at work, a sleepless night, or an intense workout, hits harder and lasts longer because there's no hormonal buffer. Your body can't tell the difference between "I had a stressful week" and "I'm in danger." Both feel the same biochemically. And in both cases, the response is the same. Store fat, especially around the belly, where it's quickly accessible for energy if you need to fight or flee. Many women try to solve this with meditation, breath work, or cutting back on caffeine. And those things help. But if the root issue is low progesterone, you're trying to calm a biochemical stress signal with behavioral tools. It's not that those tools don't work, it's that they're incomplete. This reframe is critical because it removes the shame. If you've been feeling anxious or noticing stubborn belly fat and thinking, I just need to relax more, or I'm not managing my stress well enough, this is your permission to stop blaming yourself. The stress signal might not be coming from your life. It might be coming from your hormones. And that's not something you fix with discipline. It's something you understand and support. But progesterone isn't working alone. There's another hormone that's quietly deciding where your body puts fat in the first place and where it's willing to release it from. That's estrogen. And its role is more specific than most women realize. Estrogen doesn't just regulate your cycle or support bone health. It also acts as a fat distribution director. It tells your body where to store fat and, just as importantly, where to pull fat from when you need energy. When estrogen is balanced and stable, it encourages your body to store fat in what's called subcutaneous areas, your hips, thighs, and breasts. This type of fat is metabolically safer. It's less inflammatory. It doesn't interfere with your organs. But when estrogen becomes erratic, spiking and crashing unpredictably, which is common in perimenopause but can start happening in your 30s or when it drops too low, your body shifts its fat storage pattern. Instead of hips and thighs, fat starts going to your belly. Specifically, to visceral fat, the kind that wraps around your organs, drives inflammation, and is much harder to lose. This is the shift that so many women describe when they say, my body just looks different now. Even if the scale hasn't changed much, even if they're the same weight they were 5 years ago, the distribution has changed. What used to fill out jeans now seems to disappear, while the waistline thickens. Pants that fit perfectly suddenly don't button comfortably. This isn't about gaining weight. It's about estrogen's changing influence on where that weight lives. And here's the part that makes it so frustrating. Visceral fat is more metabolically active than subcutaneous fat, which means it releases inflammatory signals and makes it harder for your body to respond to insulin. This creates a feedback loop. The belly fat itself makes it harder to lose belly fat. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that the blueprint for how your body handles fat storage has shifted, and the new blueprint is working against you. Understanding this matters because it helps you see that your body isn't betraying you. It's following the instructions it's being given by your hormones. If estrogen is erratic or low, your fat cells are receiving a different set of directions than they used to. And that's not something you override with more cardio or fewer carbs. That's something you address by understanding what's happening hormonally and supporting your body through that transition, not fighting it. But even if you understand all of this, even if you know about progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, there's one common strategy that can undo all of it. And it's the one most women turn to first when they're trying to lose belly fat. When belly fat won't budge, the instinct is to eat less, cut calories, create a deficit. And in theory, that makes sense. But in practice, when your hormones are already in transition, chronic calorie restriction doesn't signal fat loss to your body. It signals famine. And your body's response to famine is to slow down your metabolism, increase cortisol, lower progesterone and testosterone even further, and hold on to fat, especially visceral fat, as tightly as possible. This is why so many women describe hitting a wall. They cut their calories, they're hungry, they're tired, and the belly fat stays exactly where it is. Or worse, it increases. Because the body doesn't see the restriction as a short-term weight loss strategy. It sees it as a threat to survival. And it adapts by becoming more efficient, which means burning fewer calories and storing more fat. This is especially common in women who've been dieting on and off for years. Every time you restrict heavily and then return to normal eating, your body learns to be more cautious. It becomes metabolically conservative. And when you add hormonal shifts on top of that, declining progesterone, erratic estrogen, lower testosterone, the body doubles down on protection mode. Many women notice this pattern. They eat less and less, but their energy crashes, their workouts suffer, their sleep gets worse, and their body composition doesn't improve. What's happening is that the calorie deficit is creating hormonal stress, which is blocking the very fat loss they're working toward. A gentler, more sustainable approach is to eat enough, especially enough protein, to support muscle maintenance, hormone production, and metabolic function. This doesn't mean eating without awareness. It means recognizing that your body needs resources to function well, and that those resources become even more important when your hormones are shifting. Undereating might create a short-term calorie deficit, but it also creates a long-term hormonal deficit that makes fat loss nearly impossible. This is a critical piece of the hormonal permission system. If your body doesn't have the raw materials it needs, amino acids from protein, healthy fats for hormone production, enough overall energy to feel safe, it will not give you permission to burn fat. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are. The biology won't allow it. And this is why so many women feel relief when they shift from eat less, exercise more, to eat enough, move strategically, support my hormones. Because for the first time in years, they're working with their body instead of against it. So if eating less isn't the answer, what is? Let's talk about the practical, gentle shifts you can make to support progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone without turning your life upside down. Supporting your hormones doesn't require a complete overhaul. It requires small, consistent patterns that signal safety and balance to your body. These aren't rules. They're experiments. And the goal isn't perfection. It's progress toward a body that feels hormonally supported instead of hormonally stressed. Let's start with progesterone. Progesterone is produced primarily in the second half of your menstrual cycle, after ovulation. But stress, undereating, overexercising, and poor sleep can all suppress ovulation, which means less progesterone. One of the gentlest ways to support progesterone is to prioritize sleep quality. Progesterone is naturally calming and helps you sleep, but sleep also helps you produce progesterone. It's a two-way street. Aim for consistent sleep and wake times, a cool and dark bedroom, and winding down without screens at least an hour before bed. Another support for progesterone is managing exercise intensity during the luteal phase, the 2 weeks before your period. This is when progesterone should be highest, but hard, depleting workouts can suppress it. Many women find that shifting to lower intensity movement during this phase, walking, yoga, Pilates, lighter weights, helps their body maintain that calming signal instead of interpreting exercise as additional stress. And finally, eating enough is non-negotiable for progesterone production. Your body won't produce adequate progesterone if it thinks you're in a calorie deficit. This is especially true for healthy fats: avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, fatty fish, which are the building blocks for all sex hormones, including progesterone. For estrogen, balance is the key word. You don't want estrogen too high or too low. You want it stable and in communication with progesterone. One practical way to support estrogen balance is through fiber. Fiber helps your body clear excess estrogen through digestion, which prevents estrogen dominance, too much estrogen relative to progesterone. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, and seeds all contribute to this process. Another support is managing xenoestrogens, synthetic chemicals that mimic estrogen in your body. These come from plastics, certain personal care products, and pesticides. You don't need to throw everything away, but small swaps can help. Storing food in glass instead of plastic, choosing organic when possible for the Dirty Dozen produce list, and checking labels on skincare and cleaning products for parabens and phthalates. Movement also supports estrogen balance, but again, the type matters. Moderate, consistent activity, walking, strength training, swimming, supports healthy estrogen metabolism. Chronic high-intensity cardio without adequate recovery can actually disrupt estrogen patterns, especially if you're undereating or undersleeping. And finally, testosterone. The most powerful thing you can do to support testosterone is to build and maintain muscle. Resistance training, bodyweight exercises, dumbbells, resistance bands, even heavy household tasks, sends a signal to your body that muscle is valuable and worth keeping. This doesn't mean you need to lift heavy every day. 2 to 3 sessions per week of focused resistance work can make a meaningful difference. Protein intake also supports testosterone. Your body needs amino acids to build muscle and produce hormones. Many women over 30 aren't eating enough protein, especially if they've been following older diet advice that emphasized low fat and low calorie. A gentle starting point is aiming for a palm-sized portion of protein at each meal: eggs, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, beans, tofu. And one often overlooked support for testosterone is not over-restricting fat. Testosterone is made from cholesterol, which comes from dietary fat. If you're eating a very low-fat diet, you're limiting the raw materials your body needs to produce this hormone. Healthy fats, again, avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish, support testosterone production. One gentle experiment many women find helpful is a weekly check-in. Am I sleeping enough? Am I eating enough protein and healthy fats? Am I moving my body in ways that build strength, not just burn calories? Am I managing stress in my external life? And am I giving my body the internal resources it needs to manage hormonal stress? These aren't rigid prescriptions. They're invitations to notice patterns and make small adjustments based on how your body responds. None of this is about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing enough, consistently, to shift the signals your body is receiving from threat to safety. And that shift is what gives your body permission to release belly fat. So here's what we've covered. Your body doesn't burn belly fat based on willpower. It needs hormonal permission from estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Progesterone is the calming signal that tells your body it's safe to release fat, and when it drops, your body interprets that as stress and holds on tighter. Estrogen directs where fat gets stored, and when it becomes erratic or low, fat shifts from your hips to your belly. Eating less doesn't fix the problem when your hormones are shifting. It makes the problem worse by signaling famine instead of safety. And finally, the practical shifts that support these hormones aren't complicated. Prioritize sleep, eat enough protein and healthy fats, manage exercise intensity, build muscle, support fiber intake, and reduce exposure to synthetic estrogens where you can. This wasn't about quick fixes or fat-burning hacks. This was about understanding how your female body actually decides whether to store or release fat, and why that decision changes after 30. Once you see the system clearly, you stop blaming yourself for what your body is doing logically in response to the signals it's receiving, and you start supporting those signals instead of fighting them. If this video helped you see your body differently, consider subscribing. We create calm, research-backed content on female health every week. And if you know another woman who's been struggling with stubborn belly fat and wondering why nothing seems to work, share this with her. Sometimes the most helpful thing we can offer each other is clarity. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.